Back at Advanced Cylinder Heads, and in this episode we are starting the build. All of these episodes combined coming to this moment. All of these precision machined parts, ported cylinder head, honed out block, all these high performance parts, they're all starting to come together today.
You see where that red circle is there?
Yeah, so that guy's just got to get plugged up. To give you the recap, this is my JDM K24A. It's one of those low mileage JDM engines. We took this thing apart and I was really curious to see, is this thing actually low mileage? You always hear the story that these things are really good in the low mileage places. We took this one apart and it really was. These guys said it was a great core to build from. Once we had everything apart, the cylinder head went into their 5-axis CNC machine where we ported the thing out, and then we put it on the flow bench to test what we had done and then made revisions from there. The bottom end went through its treatment as well, getting precisely honed out just enough. It was just a slight overbore that we needed to put into this thing so that the Wiseco Pistons could fit in. A lot of precision machining work goes on at Advanced Cylinder Heads in Winter Park, Florida. This was the stock crankshaft that came with this engine, and it was in pretty good shape to begin with, but Donnie at Advanced Cylinder Heads really brought this thing a new life.
Here's the magic number there, 0.001 and 0.001. This would be the rear of your crank, the front of your crank.
And then we make it into the engine build room. This is Bill. He did the entire final engine assembly of this thing. Perfectly balanced crankshaft going into the block. As soon as I started seeing that bit, it was like, okay, it's happening now. What are you doing here, Bill?
These are the thrust bearings. Oil, the spot for the oil to gather is going to go towards the crankshaft, not towards the block. Just slide in there like that. It's acetone. Yeah, it's just to clean the surface real good so that the silicone will bond to it real good. Make sure we don't have any oil or anything on it.
And so you'll hear me asking questions throughout this entire process, and that's how it was the whole time at Advanced Cylinder Heads. I really appreciate those guys letting me be the fly on the wall, poking my camera around, because it was really fascinating to see how all this stuff comes together. Engine building is not something I do in my everyday life, so this was like a whoa thing for me.
As long as it don't leak.
Yeah, right? That stuff is intense too, man.
Really ain't necessary, it's just one of those things I do on these.
Just a little bit of extra
insurance. Those holes are, it's not going to go down to oil, but it just, I like to do it. I mean, if you were to do it.
Right. What do these get torqued to, though?
22, and then I think it's 56 degrees, I believe. Out of habit, I just always go back over and make sure you get this something. I'll use the paint markers when I do the stretch. Mark on it.
Yeah.
It's no fun to second guess yourself on something like this.
Yeah. And then you can see here on the bench all the different parts that are going in this thing. The Manley Connecting Rods, Wiseco Pistons.
And crankshaft end play. We checked it the other day when we mocked it up, but just want to verify it's the same. I'd say if we were anywhere probably from 3 to 6, we'd probably be in range. I'm gonna see what we got and then I'll check spec on it. About 5.5. 4 to 14 is spec on that. I'm happy with where we're at right there.
So these pieces came out really nice. Build glass beating these over here. And also picked this up, Unit 2 fabrication, baffled oil pan. That I don't think you guys have seen yet, or maybe you've seen in the other videos. Heavy duty timing chain from Drag Cartel. Drag Cartel lower timing chain guide. And also the modified crank timing gear. All right, Bill, so what are we doing?
We're gonna assemble the pistons to the rods, put rings on. Rings have already been checked, gap is good on them. Yeah, right out of the box, these rings were right at the limit of what we wanted for the specs, so we aren't gonna change anything on those. The only thing we've done on these is deeper at the edges. Once you're getting ready to assemble, this one's pretty much assembled completely other than putting the bearing shells into it. At this point, what we would do, we're gonna loop up the skirts around it, a little bit on the rings, not a whole lot of oil, just a little bit. And then we're gonna get ready to install these.
coming.
Okay. He's doing
Didn't
good.
expect this.
He's all right. He's all right.
This is the bottom end. Balanced K24 crankshaft, ACL race bearings on either side, honed out block, Manley Connecting Rods, and Wiseco Pistons. On the very bottom of that is going to go the Unit 2 baffled oil pan, but for now, let's get into the top end. And here we go, getting this ported cylinder head on the bottom end. This is the stock K24A cylinder head, which has been ported out. At Advanced Cylinder Heads, you can get this exact same port job there now. They had run it through their 5-axis CNC machine and saved the program. So you can get this same exact port. It's called their Stage 1. We gained about 60 CFM at the top end of it. This cylinder head with the Stage 1 porting is now comparable to a K20A2, if not better in certain areas. Aside from that, the cylinder head has been surfaced flat to mate up with the bottom end, and inside the cylinder head is a lot of BC Brian Crower parts. These are Stage 2 VTEC camshafts, along with the Brian Crower springs and retainers. The guys had run a custom 3-angle valve job, and these are stock K24 intake and exhaust valves.
Take side, that's with it fully advanced. Can't go any further.
This thing is really coming together, you guys. Nice Brian Crower cams in. Everything torqued down. And I wanted to show you this, because I don't think you've seen this yet. Woo! It's so good. Drag Cartel lower timing chain guide. All these different chain guides, all new pieces up in here. These are the stock Honda pieces. I was talking with Real Street on this, and there is a little bit of a, you know, you could have upgraded to the billet pieces, the really nice stuff, but even those, you still actually have to replace over time. So it was one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I'm not making crazy power. Real Street was like, if you're making a, 800,000 horsepower out of this thing, then yeah, you probably want to add some billet stuff, but you still got to end up replacing those things. So we went the stock here. I think it's going to work out really well.
We're just pulling the timing chain back, the guide actually back off of this. Got to pull the gear off the exhaust cam and put an adjustable exhaust cam gear on there so that we can degree this exhaust cam. This one's just a solid gear with no adjustability on it. We're just using that basically just to mock the engine up, to check valve to piston, give us an idea of where we were, piston valve.
Part of the degree wheel going here.
Yeah, it looks like just a laser pointer to point down on 0. A little bit better than the coat hanger. We still use it sometimes. And this is a lot more stable. You don't have to worry about knocking it around like the coat hanger normally does. Running the clearance is a lot tighter than factory.
Essentially a brand new K24 engine here built for me. Just incredible. Best engine that I've ever had, by far. By far. I hope you've enjoyed the whole process of seeing everything from the machine shop. I tried to get as much detail in as possible, and it was such an honor to be there and watch this thing being built by guys who really take a ton of pride in their work. Thank you so much to everyone at Advanced Cylinder Head. What comes next is getting it in the car. And then after that, we gotta get this thing dynoed. I hope that if you enjoyed any of this series, or if you're new to this channel, firstly, you'll subscribe, but also you'll check out the previous episodes of this. And then moving forward, stay tuned, man, because this thing's gonna be going in the EG hatchback. We're gonna get it dynoed, and we're gonna get it back out on track. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next.